How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Down to Earth with Kristian Harloff. This is our Monday through Friday UAP news. We try to see what the big story is of the day, and we bring it to you guys regarding the UAP UFO phenomena. Now, if you are brand new to this channel, you've never been here before, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 on this channel. We do a show called UAP Tuesdays on my other channel, which is simply just my name, Kristian Harloff, and we have a lot of great guests. We've got a really good guest coming up this week, well, this Tuesday coming up, so we hope that you'll join us. Can't say who the guest is just yet, but it's a good one. So, today, what's the story? Well, Ross Coulthart, you know him. He's the guy that has broken a lot of different stories, and he's the guy that on News Nation brought forward whistleblower David Grush, who blew the lid off this thing and started to have big conversations, and then they had a hearing because of the information that Grush and both Ryan Graves and David Fravor, the three of them, were out there having the conversation, giving information. Now, at the time of that particular hearing, there were supposed to be many other whistleblowers that were supposed to come forward. As said by Tim Burchett, who said at the time, he said NASA made a call to them and said, no, don't do that. When they found out who the names were, and they called those people, and those people didn't testify. So there's been reports that like 40 plus whistleblowers are coming forward to talk again, and to potentially, if there's another public hearing, that they're going to come forward, and that it's going to be even more damaging to those who are trying to keep it quiet. Now, on this channel, a lot of other channels, a lot inside of the community, it's like, well, what's happening? It's being stalled. There's nothing going on. So Ross Coulthart had his podcast today, and he had on Tim Burchett on that show. But at the end, he took a bunch of questions, and someone asked him about the whistleblowers, and somebody asked him about what was going to happen. And this was his answer when that question was asked.
One more question. It seems as if there is pretty solid insider certainty that there is irrefutable evidence that the US government is indeed being dubious on this issue. Why then can you not please provide this credible evidence to the public? This issue will not press forward when there is a possible debunk. And I completely agree with you. I think the whole UAP social media community is just going to have to be a lot more patient. Truth will out. Whistleblowers will come forward. But they need time. I'm in conversation with some of them at the moment where they're wrestling with that decision. A number of them are going through the DOPSA process, applying for the Defence Office Pre-Publication Security Review Approval System, like David Grush did. They're hoping that they can get clearance to speak before a public hearing of Congress. It's a hell of a lot safer for them than it is for them to appear on national television in obvious breach of their security clearance and their NDA. And look, I was sad to hear from Tim Burchett that he's also had threats from people who are impatient with the pace of change and the pace of transparency and accountability. I've had the same problem. I've had people outright threaten me in really appalling ways because they're just frustrated and angry that things aren't going as fast as they would like. I've had a lot of people say to me, I should just say I know where this large UAP craft is located. And I've explained very strong reasons exist for why that particularly national security sensitive installation shouldn't be revealed. Ultimately, we're all part of a very good alliance, the Five Eyes Alliance, that has kept world peace and security since the end of World War II. The Yakuza Agreement, the Five Eyes, an alliance between my country, Australia, and the United States, England, Canada, New Zealand. It's really important. And for the good reason, we don't want to jeopardize vital national security concerns. So there has to be a balance. And even though people would love me as a journalist just to come out and spew everything I know about the subject, I actually do think there are very good reasons to be cautious. But I do think there's reason for optimism. And I think we can only wait and see what comes out of Congress and other quarters. More on that soon.
Okay, so it was a great tease. It was a great tease. And it was also, look, there's an understanding to that. And I think there you have to listen to what he says and you say, well, yeah, if they want to go through the right ways to do this and they don't want to jeopardize themselves by going on a program and saying, like, because David Grush filed all these paperwork out and everything before he came and talked to Ross Coulthart. And if people start coming out and saying certain things, this happened, you do wind up getting into like a Bob Lazar situation too, right? It's where, well, do you believe him or do you not? But if they're doing it in front of Congress, you got to go through the steps. I get it, and I'm with everybody else too. It's like I'm covering this thing every day. I'm talking about it all the time, and it's like it does seem like a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the same stuff is being said over and over and over again. And the patience there, I think, threatening people is ridiculous. It's like, look, I'm frustrated too. I want to hear more of it. You hear people saying, "Oh, January 2024, big stuff is happening," and nothing is happening, and that's not because they're not trying. It's because things are slower. But that's also the problem with promising thing and saying, "Oh, guys, wait until this big thing happens," and then that doesn't happen. People are going, "What are you talking about? Nothing's happening." But that doesn't give anybody the right to threaten anybody. That's just stupid. It's if you're you can be frustrated. You're allowed to be frustrated. I mean, hell, Ross Coulthart is frustrated. You can tell he's frustrated. The one thing that he said, though, when he talked about the whistleblowers, and this is what I think that he meant, what he said up top was he's like, well, no, they are coming forward and they're doing the process to do it, but some are, like, whether he said, I think he said, like, contemplating or about the decision in general. Like, what does that mean? Like, they're backtracking or they don't want to do it? Or more so he means what he then followed up with, which was they have to go through the process before just coming out and speaking. And then, as he said, there's certain things you just, like, there are a lot of people who know certain things that can't say things because of national security and all that. And I get all that too. And I think he understands, and he said in the beginning, the frustration is real. Now, as far as the whistleblowers go, if they are really lining this thing up, this public hearing, they have to. They can't. David Grush will come out and will probably will testify again. But you have to have more than David Grush, Fravor, and Graves this time. You have to. You got to have new people. You got to look. I mean, hell, I talked to Tim Gallaudet on my show and asked him straight out, would he testify? He said, yes, he would. For all the things that he knows about the USOs, the things that the people he knows inside the programs, these things, put that guy in the stand. Put as many people as you can. They said 40 plus. 40 plus would do a lot as far as, I mean, media coverage alone. 40 plus people coming, but the question is, who's the pushback? Where's the pushback coming from, rather, when it comes to the process? Is it just the normal process? And look, there's a lot of times when you're just filling out paperwork. It's like, look, it takes a while. And there are other things that the government is focused on right now. And this isn't a high priority, even though it should be. It should be the priority. It should be the only priority. We know that. But it isn't. So when you hear Ross Coulthart say, have patience with it, I agree, have patience with it. And he said, things are coming and it will happen. I think you're allowed to feel both ways, because had he said the same things, and look, I know some things happening, and it's going to happen pretty soon when it comes to this whole UAP thing. You remember that article that came out with New York Times? I got something pretty big coming. You're like, all right, sure. And then he has to sit down with David Grush. Hard not to believe the guy. And he's tied into a lot of the stuff that's happening. But it's a matter of these things that we know, these field hearings, the public hearings. When those things are set, that's when I think the community is going to go, okay, well, what's next? It's almost like when you're putting together a film, right? It's like, okay, this film is going to happen. Is it really, though? Yeah, it's going into production, but they don't even have a director. They don't even have an actress. They don't have anybody. They don't have anybody yet, but it's going to happen. Is it? And then they go, oh, no, they said it. They got a director. They have a cast. They're going into production. When's it going into production? It's going to production in July. Is it? And then it goes into production. That's what this needs. This needs, like, okay, they know who is going to testify. They know when the hearing is going to be. It is going to happen. That's when excitement is going to start to happen, because that's when people will start to say, okay, they finally made this thing happen. Now, who is it? Now, the two things that will have to happen, way more than two things, but two of the main things that need to happen when that hearing takes place is that it's got to actually take place, and the people that are testifying have to be mind-blowing, and it's got to be significant, and it has to be, and I very much believe David Grush. I very much believe of the things that I think, and he knows more that he just can't say yet. But a lot of people, the average Joe, if you will say, yeah, but he just heard a thing from a guy who heard a guy say a thing about a herd guy. And I don't know anything. And he doesn't know anything. There needs to be someone who legit said, no, I was there when we breached the hull. I was there when we had contact with this. I was there when this ship did this. I know what this thing is. It's this. I was told by so-and-so. That's the kind of stuff they need to really make the needle move forward. And there are people out there that know that information. The question is, will they be cleared, and what kind of pushback will they have? All right, so what say you guys? Do you think this is going to happen? Do you think that there's actually going to be another hearing? Do you think that Ross Coulthart is right? Have patience. It might not happen next month. It might not happen this year. Will you still be interested? We have to kind of wait and say, I'm not going to pay attention to this. I'm not watching your channel anymore until I get a little bit more information. How do you feel about it? Go ahead and let me know. Leave a comment. And as always, subscribe to the channel. Get caught up on it because we're going to be talking about this and much more. So leave your comments. And if you want, I always link our sponsors in our first comment. If you want to help out the show, you want to support the show, click one of our sponsors. It helps out tremendously. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.